Do you think that Jake's gotten better as a boxer?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And listen, what Jake Paul has accomplished.
Q, do you believe that Jake Paul has improved as a boxer? Yes, without a doubt. And notice what he has done. He is now taking on older opponents. Conor McGregor and Jake Paul's ostensibly impossible bout has now been confirmed by Dana White. To be honest, this announcement has left fighters and supporters perplexed. It's funny to say that Conor McGregor is afraid of Jake Paul, but Paul's fight game is ironic. How did a YouTuber turned fighter get the opportunity to compete against some of the biggest names in boxing, especially against veterans who haven't stepped into the ring in years? He knows way that he won't do that, but he knows way that 1, he's under contract, 2, he's not his own boss, and 3, he knows better, he might say, as Dana. White has been saying all along, Jake Paul's rise isn't just about skill, it's also about making money. The spectacle, the drama, and the payoff are what matter. And here we are watching what feels more like a circus show than a real fight. Well, it's like another little world, isn't it? I'm open to it. A few years ago, the title Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor would have sounded like a fever dream, but today it's a real one. Jake Paul, Dana White personally attested to it. Conor McGregor, is that fight happening, or what? I'll probably not know. Are you closed off to it completely? I'm never completely closed. Yeah, Dana White, the guy who once dismissed Jake Paul like he was some TikTok clown trying to play dress up in a real fighter world. And now Dana's a Lynn, shaking hands, making deals, and basically turning the combat sports universe upside down. If this isn't the wildest twist in MMA history, I don't know what is, but the actual question is why now, why Jake Paul, and why Conor McGregor? Turns out it's not just some random cash grab, though let's not pretend the money isn't obscene here. What we do here is completely different than what him and his brother are doing, you know? What I mean, I'm looking for the absolute best in the world. These guys who have trained their whole life, they fight in these smaller shows, and then they make it to the UFC, and we put the best against the best. This is Dana White's move to stay ahead in the fight game, a way to tap into a new audience while keeping the old fans grumbling but glued to their seat. Jake Paul, a YouTuber, boxer, and MMA prospect, is taking the octagon. This battle disregards customs and regulations, which is why it's so brilliant. I love it, and I hate it. Saying anything like yo or tweet about it or whatever you're still watching is amusing. Conor McGregor is afraid of Jake Paul, who will never box him. However, let's take a moment to talk about Jake. He knows how to stir things up. For example, when he publicly called out Conor McGregor, he said, "No weight class, straight MMA," and he did that tonight. However, you can't ignore the fact that he is 58 years old. I'm not disappointed because he got himself in that kind of shape to come here and at least stand in front of this guy, especially when you're a guy who just bulked up to combat Mike Tyson. Even though Mike Tyson is 58 years old, Jake defeated him and now believes he's ready for the Irish tornado that is Conor McGregor. Accordingly, he has a lot of fame in the UK, and the Pauls that El Heing fight is just a weird one to me. I hope to take his nose off at some point. You know, we'll go through all of these guys eventually. Now, Conor didn't exactly take this line down. The guy practically invented trash talk as a modern art form. He responded by saying, it's not just a fight anymore, it's a spectacle, the kind of thing you tell your friends about whether they watch MMA or not. Jake Paul is the biggest jerk I've ever seen in my life. He didn't even come close to backing down. Instead, he kept trolling, tweeting, dropping videos, and turning up the volume until the noise became too loud to ignore. And guess what? It worked. Conor McGregor fears that Jake Paul will never box him, but it's true. Observe him square off against Nate Diaz, who was, and the moment Jake picked is iconic. After defeating Tyson and Nate Diaz, Jake Paul isn't just exuding confidence, he's virtually riding a wave of self-belief. YouTuber nerds may say, you know, I would consider that a nixer. But this fight isn't just about Jake's ego or Conor's comeback, it's about what it means for combat sports since Jake Paul is entering the MMA cage, which is a seismic shift. You know, your uncle's friend needs a radiator installed in his house, so he'll work a side job and get a side pay. Jake versus Conor is the ultimate crossover event, bringing a YouTuber and a legendary boxer together. It's bigger than MMA and bigger than boxing. Conor has 2 fights left on his contract, but the UFC is attempting to extend their rights agreement because they license their content, the fights, to platforms. They are negotiating with a number of parties, but let's assume that it will end up with ESPN. Let's not pretend that Conor is just sitting pretty here, though. He has 2 fights left on his UFC contract, and the timing couldn't be more ideal. Having Conor as the main attraction at a fight provides the UFC tremendous leverage as they negotiate their TV rights agreement. It's funny to say that Conor McGregor is afraid of Jake Paul and will never box him, but it's true. So here we are, watching Jake Paul tweet his way into a fight that no one thought was possible, and Conor McGregor, the king of comebacks, getting ready for what might be the most bizarrely talked about fight in fight history. Is it about respect, or is it about legacy? Dana White isn't just booking fights, he's playing chess on a whole new level. A portion of that negotiation is, hey, we have Conor McGregor for 2 more fights, but if he were to fight now, that wouldn't be part of the negotiation. Perhaps for Conor, it's about money, but more than anything, it's about 2 worlds colliding in the loudest and most chaotic way possible in order to get him the most money. The intrigue surrounding Conor McGregor's contract situation is so delicious that it may rival any soap series. In addition to the fact that the man hasn't stepped foot in the octagon in 2 years, the company behind the UFC's ironclad contract clauses has said, oh, well, you only have Conor for 1 fight, so that's why Conor isn't fighting right now. What they do to fighters is that if they sign a contract they didn't sign, if they win, they're basically locked in for 3 more fights or something, and each contract is unique. But you essentially don't want to win because you're locked in for McGregor until he fulfills his contractual obligations. The UFC is currently renegotiating their broadcast rights deal, and Dana White has all the leverage in the world because of Conor McGregor. He has been outspoken about feeling like the UFC owns and runs his business, and he has even threatened to go to court if he doesn't get the fights he truly wants. However, this fight with Jake Paul could be Dana's masterstroke to get what the UFC needs and what Conor wants: a profitable fight to please everyone. He shouldn't even be fighting Conor McGregor because these guys are huge and his brother is huge. Conor McGregor weighs between 145 and 155 pounds, and he fights at that low weight. I thought he used to fight like that, but now he looks a little bit heavier. Jake has been active, jumping from fight to fight as if he has something to prove, which, let's face it, he does, and then there is the weight difference. Conor hasn't fought since July 2021, when he broke his leg in that fight against Dustin Poirier. That's a lengthy layoff. While McGregor has fought at 155 for the majority of his career, Jake Paul weighs a healthy 190 pounds. This 40-pound difference could be considered a canyon in combat sports. How's that going to play out in an MMA fight? Will Jake's size and power give him the edge, or will Conor's speed and technique be too much for the younger fighter? What about you? And Conor McGregor, are you interested in that? Yeah, he'll never do that, though he knows way well he's under contract, but let's not sleep on Jake Paul's growing reputation. He's gone from a punchline to a legitimate name in combat sports. Sure, the purists still roll their eyes, but even they can't deny the numbers for Conor. This fight is a chance to remind everyone who he is, and show that even after injuries, time off, and all the distractions, he's still the notorious Just One Jake Paul, saying he was banned from all UFC events, and then put the costume on. Yeah, nobody is banned from the UFC. Listen, that kid knows how to market. And Dana White, the man who spent the years scoffing at Jake Paul like he's some kind of pest buzzing around the UFC's greatness, has just pulled the ultimate plot twist. He greenlit Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor. And let's be real, this isn't just a fight. This is gamble Dana is taking, chances as if his whole Las Vegas business were on the line. Jake Paul and you have had disagreements. Do you think that Jake has improved as a boxer? Yes, without a doubt. And listen to what Jake Paul has done. He's fighting elderly guys. Yes, he's fighting old guys and whatever else he fights, but